Okay, so let's talk about astrology. When I say that word, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it the daily horoscope in the back of a newspaper? Maybe some vague predictions about your love life? Well, let's dive into this, because today we're going much, much deeper. We're going to explore an ancient system that sees the cosmos not just as some map of destiny, but as this profound language of light, time, and karma. To really get this perspective, we have to look way past the pop culture version of astrology. We're digging into its roots, into a tradition where these complex diagrams, like this Surya Yantra, weren't for predicting if you'll have a good Tuesday. No, they were for attuning to the fundamental energies of our solar system.
And this really brings us to the big question for today, doesn't it? Are we talking about simple, everyday predictions, or are we talking about a system that was designed to answer life's biggest questions, like who we are and why we're even here?
To start answering that, we have to begin with the most foundational idea in this ancient system. It really all comes down to light.
You see, the traditional name for Vedic astrology is Jyotish, and it literally translates to the science of light. The core idea here is that the light radiating from the sun, the moon, and the planets isn't just physical energy. It's thought to carry a certain quality, an intelligence that actually influences life here on Earth. And this image, well, it brings us right to the central source of that light, the sun. In the Vedic view, the sun isn't just a star. It's seen as the very soul of our solar system, the creative force whose light brings everything to life.
And look, this is not some new age concept. According to scholars, astrology was actually the basis for our very first cosmologies. It was the original attempt to understand the structure of the universe and our place in it, a grand system that other sciences like astronomy and even medicine like Ayurveda first grew out of.
So let's move to our next section and see how this all builds. Because if Jyotish is the science of light, then that light has to move through a very specific medium, time.
In this worldview, time isn't just a clock ticking away on the wall. Not at all. It's seen as a fundamental active force. It's the river in which everything exists, the power that creates, sustains, and eventually dissolves all things. It's not just how we measure things, it's the main event. Okay, so here's the crucial point. If time is a flowing river, then every single moment in that river has a unique quality, right? A specific energy, and that's what this system calls karma. The moment you are born is like a seed that contains the entire quality of that specific moment in time. And the birth chart, that's just a snapshot of that seed.
So this brings us directly to the philosophical engine that drives the whole system, the concept of karma. How does Jyotish even attempt to map something like that?
At its heart, the law of karma is a pretty simple, universal idea: cause and effect. Every action, every thought, every intention, it sets off a ripple that will eventually return. And over lifetimes, these ripples create this incredibly complex web of cause and effect that shapes our experiences.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. Jyotish breaks karma down into 4 types. So think of Sanchita as this massive cosmic bank account. It's the total storage of all your past actions. Prarabdha is the portion of that account that's due in this life. You could call it the hand of cards you've been dealt. Kriyamana is how you're playing that hand right now in this very moment. And Agama is the karma you're creating by planning your next move.
So we have light, time, and karma. But how are these vast concepts actually interpreted? Well, that's where we get to the cosmic language itself. In Jyotish, the planets are seen as the great cosmic significators. Now, they aren't causing things to happen to you, but they're indicating or signifying different parts of our own inner world. The sun represents our core self, our soul. The moon governs our emotions and senses. Mars, our power. Mercury, our intellect, and so on. They are the symbols, the words, in this cosmic language.
And right here, we can see that personification in action. On the left is Surya, the sun, representing the soul. And on the right, Chandra, the moon, representing the mind and emotions. So you see, these aren't just abstract symbols. They're seen as living archetypes that help us understand the forces at play inside our own consciousness.
All right, time for a quick but super important technical point. This is where Vedic and Western astrology really differ. As this slide shows, Western astrology uses the tropical zodiac, which is tied to the seasons. Think of it like a clock that resets to 0 at the start of spring every single year. Vedic astrology, or Jyotish, uses the sidereal zodiac, which is aligned to the fixed stars. It's like a map that's pinned to the actual constellations in the sky. And that's exactly why your sun sign might be different in the two systems. They're just using two different cosmic maps.
So, let's bring all of this together to tackle one of the biggest questions of all. Are our lives predetermined, or do we have the power to choose?
Well, Jyotish doesn't see this as an either-or question. Instead, it proposes a kind of dynamic interaction. What we call fate is simply our prarabdha karma, the results of past actions that are coming due right now. But free will, that's the kriyamana and agama karma. Those are the new choices we make and plan for in every moment. And here's the crucial part. Today's free will becomes tomorrow's fate.
This quote from a Jyotish guru perfectly captures a different way of thinking about this whole thing. The goal isn't necessarily to fight against your destiny, but to first understand it. The chart is seen as a map of your dharma, your true purpose or path. The challenge isn't to get a new map, but to learn how to skillfully navigate the one you were given.
And that leaves us with a final thought. From this perspective, astrology is less about a set of forces controlling you from above and more of a symbolic language reflecting the forces that are already within you. A language that, if you learn to read it, might just help you better understand your own journey through time